What's up, fellow Hoops fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV. As always, brought to you by our good friends at topsport.com.au. Now it is Monday morning. Monday morning means old mate Benyam Kidane from NBA Australia. BK, my brother, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, my man. How you living?
I'm living good, man. I'm living good. First of all, I just want to say happy Clay Day.
We back, baby. 941 days.
Clay is back. Klay Thompson returning for the Warriors today. We're going to touch on that a little bit later on, BK. But first, we're going to start off with another guy that could be coming back this season as well, Kawhi Leonard. Now, we've spoken a little bit about him and obviously the Clippers' injury concerns this year. Paul George also out for them. But there was a report yesterday saying that he's ahead of schedule in his rehab, BK. And there's a chance we might see him again this season.
If there's a chance, there's a way. This is a bit of a game changer for the Clippers because there was so much mystery around whether Kawhi would even come back at all this season. But if he can come back in some capacity this season, Paul George is only a few weeks away. All of a sudden, there's another team in the Western Conference we have to look out for.
Yeah, that's true. Look, the problem is getting to that stage because I think between now and Paul George coming back, like you said, he's a few weeks away. They could lose enough games where that might not make it a difference if Paul George comes back or Kawhi Leonard. But we've seen this with Kawhi before, obviously in his last season with the Spurs. It was a similar kind of situation, a will he, won't he return type of thing. So, look, I'm with you. If there's a chance that Kawhi comes back and they can sort of, maintain until he does and until PG comes back, they could be dangerous out in the West. BK, we have a lot to talk about. As always, there's just so much news in the NBA, isn't there? Let's start off with your guy. I know you're going to be happy about this. Boogie Cousins. He was waived by the Milwaukee Bucks the other day. He did pretty well with them too. He was averaging, I think, 9.6 rebounds. So it was a bit of a shock that they didn't, sign him on for the rest of the season. But the Denver Nuggets have given him another opportunity this season. BK, is he going to be able to stick with the Nuggets this season now and maybe see out the rest of the year with them?
Well, it's a pretty interesting situation in Denver because they really have no depth at center behind Nikola Jokic. I mean, you've got Jeff Green in there playing spot minutes. We saw Bol was just moved to the Pistons earlier this morning. So there is some minutes there to absorb at the center position. But my reason for optimism is he's back with Mike Malone, who was one of the few coaches in Sacramento that he had a really good rapport with. So him taking a shot on DeMarcus Cousins here. The Nuggets do need some help in the front court. This could just be the perfect situation for Boogie, but we'll wait and see how things play out.
Look, and speaking of Jokic, did you see that pass that he made, that no-look pass the other day? Like, I think I've watched that thing about 80 times on repeat. That was just absolute incredible vision from the big Sir BK. All right, we're going to get into this one here a little bit. Ben Simmons, right? We haven't spoken about Ben for a while, but trade deadline is approaching. I think it's about a month or so away. So obviously rumors are popping up and speculation and things of that nature. Now, there was a report the other day that the Atlanta Hawks have emerged as a suitor, apparently, for Ben Simmons. There's been other teams mentioned. I mean, the Kings have been mentioned. The Spurs have been mentioned. A lot of teams have been mentioned, BK. What I want to ask you is, one, do you see a move happening? Because I kind of feel like one has to happen at this point. Do you see one happening? And then what situation do you like for Ben?
Yeah, the Hawks one is interesting. And as you said, with the deadline coming up, I think there will be a move just because the Sixers are still very much in position in the East. They're fifth in the East, and Embiid has kind of been carrying them. So adding some pieces for this kind of final push through the second half of the season does make sense. And for Ben as well, you think he wants a fresh start. This is dragged on a lot longer than a lot of people would have expected. But for the offers that have been reported and rumored, I mean, the Hawks have a lot of pieces on their roster. So I can see them being more of a willing participant in a trade. Guys like Cam Reddish, maybe a Gallinari. But I like the deal out in Sacramento, especially if Tyrese Halliburton and or De'Aaron Fox is on the table. I mean, those are two great young players. But the biggest question mark is, what does Tyrese Maxey's role play in all of this? Because he's kind of emerged as a guy that can really play at the point guard position for the Sixers. So their needs kind of have changed a little bit over the past 2-3 months.
And that's your guy too. I know you're a big Tyrese Maxey fan.
Number one ticket holder to the Maxey fan club.
President of the Australian chapter. I actually like that Atlanta. Look, if Atlanta does make a move, like you said, they're going to have to be a participant, because they can't just straight out trade for Ben Simmons, because if they do, it's going to have to be for Trae Young. That's the only tradable piece that they have that's on that sort of level. It's going to have to be part of like a wider team deal, 3-team, 4-team deal, who knows. But they do have some nice young pieces. You mentioned, Cam Reddish, I think is probably the most likely one that the 76ers would be looking at as part of that. If they somehow end up with a Ben Simmons, look, I'm not mad at that fit, playing with Trae Young. The only thing is, Simmons improves them defensively straight away. You got probably one of the most, if not the most versatile defender in the league. The only thing is with Simmons, again, and that's the issue with Philadelphia, you need to surround him with shooters. And if Simmons comes along, I don't know if they have enough shooters to compensate for his, what's the word that I'm looking for? Lack of confidence in a certain area of the sport.
Which does make the Kings a little bit more of an attractive option, I guess, because they don't really have an identity. So they can build around Ben Simmons. If they have this guy, they've got guys like Buddy Hield. They can get shooters. They can build from the ground up around Ben Simmons. Whereas I think in Atlanta, he'd be more fitting into something that they already have going there with Trae Young. So I'm interested to see which teams kind of build some momentum towards the trade deadline, because I think now that we're starting to see teams have kind of figured out who they are. We know what the Sacramento Kings are this season. We know kind of what the Hawks are this season. That's going to be the trigger point to be like, okay, we need to do something if we're going to compete or if we're going to rebuild. But I like the Kings because I'm a big De'Aaron Fox guy. I think Tyrese Halliburton has a ton of potential, but whether the Sixers want to get a finished product, a guy that can plug and play, this all started with, can we get Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal? So we're already in a different spot here for Philly.
Yeah, look, I think ideally at this point, obviously it's a very fluid situation, and with a month to go before the trade deadline, like anything can happen. There could be last minute situations pop up and all that sort of stuff. I think ideally though, the best situation for both Simmons and the 76ers is they need to get him on the floor.
Yeah.
You do need to showcase what this guy can still do. He needs to showcase himself again, because right now his trade value is at the very, very lowest it's ever been. So they ideally you'd love to get him back on the floor and showcase what he can do, and perhaps get some higher value back in return. BK, let's move on to the Los Angeles Lakers right now, because they've won 4 in a row, BK, and they are now 21-19, 2 games above 500. First time they've been 2 games above 500 in about a month or so, give or take. LeBron yesterday or the day before had 32 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 4 steals, 3 blocks on 13 of 24 shooting. This man is 137 years old, BK, and he's having an amazing stretch right now. We're going to put up a graphic on the screen right now just to show you of how well. Okay, we don't have the graphic, I'm being told. But he's been playing very well. He's only he and Michael Jordan at this age have, put up numbers of about 25 consecutive games with 25 points or more. BK, are they relying on him too much at this point?
Way too much. This is year 19 for LeBron. But that just kind of speaks to his greatness. And not only are they relying on him, they're relying on him at center, which has been a pretty surprising experiment for them. Offensively, it's fantastic. Defensively, they still do have some work to do, but he's been great playing as that small ball 5. It's allowed Russell Westbrook to be a bit more of a cutter with LeBron's passing from the center position. He's already one of the best post players in the league. But he's done a great job of just kind of tiding things over, because Anthony Davis is still a few weeks away. So they've just got a lot of gaps in this roster, but LeBron is definitely papering over a lot of them. And right now they're knocking on the door of that 4th seed. They're 5 games back. They've built a little bit of momentum. I still think the Lakers have something here this season, mainly because of LeBron James.
Yeah, you haven't lost faith in them, actually. Like, you kind of wavered a little bit at one point, but you haven't lost faith in them. They're undefeated.
I haven't lost faith in LeBron.
Yeah.
I've lost faith in the Lakers many times.
Yeah, fair point. Look, they're undefeated with LeBron playing center. They're 5-0. He is papering over a lot of cracks. Like I said, if you're relying on this guy, that's my thing. If you're relying on a 37-year-old LeBron James and a 36-year-old, Carmelo Anthony coming off the bench to put up some numbers, like, I'm just like this.
Hey, shout out Malik Monk though. He's
shout out
bringing it through for the young
Malik
boys.
Monk has been having a fantastic, little stretch as well. But just back to LeBron, also entered the top 10 all-time in steals, BK, the other day. So only he and Chris Paul, the only active players in that top 10. John Stockton is number one. Look, you know me, I think LeBron's the best player I've ever seen in my lifetime. I'm a LeBron guy, but yeah, the Lakers, you're in trouble if you're relying on 37-year-old LeBron to like play heavy minutes, put up these kind of numbers.
He was supposed to be the third option this season.
He was supposed to be the third option in that 3-6-0, but yeah, look, shout out to him. You're right. They're knocking on the door of that fourth seed. I don't think they're going to get it. Do you think they actually get it though?
No, their schedule is very tough the rest of the way, and the Grizzlies have one of the easiest schedules for the way home, so it will be tough to get there. But hey, if it shakes out that they're in a 4-5 with the Grizzlies, who knows?
Who knows? That'll be a fun one to watch. They're actually playing today, so we could be getting a little preview of that. We'll get onto that in a couple of minutes, BK. Another team I know that you've been high on from the beginning. Anyone that's been watching us from episode 1 knows you've been a big fan of the Miami Heat, BK. Convincing win over the Suns, 123-100. They tied a franchise record, 22 made three-pointers. BK, are you still high on the Miami Heat?
Absolutely. They've got some guys out there that are just ready to play. Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson both going crazy from the three-point line. Kyle Lowry's doing his thing. And with any combination of those three guys and whoever they're putting out on the floor with them, whether it's via the 10 days or guys deep in their bench, they're holding things over until Bam and Jimmy can really get back and get settled into this roster, because at full strength, I think they still have one of the best teams in the NBA.
Yeah, you know what? Like, they've kind of gone under the radar a little bit for me, the Miami Heat. And then I was just like looking at the standings, and I'm like, oh, they're 25-15. I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, wait, they've done this without Jimmy Butler and Bam. Right. And I'm like, wow, this is actually impressive, because when those guys come back, Miami's a genuine threat.
100%. They've got a deep team. They've got versatile defenders. They've got shooters. They have all the ingredients to make a deep playoff run. And of course, Eric Spoelstra, one of the best coaches in the league still. So the fact that they've been managing to keep things afloat without, Butler and Adebayo for an extended period this season has definitely been impressive.
Yeah, shout out to them. And you know what? Look, I still got them in that sort of second tier of the Eastern Conference.
Just below, yeah.
Just below, yeah. I mean, but yeah, they could be dangerous once the playoffs come around and they're fully healthy. BK, let's get onto the predictions for today. There was 10 games on the schedule. One's already been completed. The Brooklyn Nets winning in overtime against the San Antonio Spurs, 121-119. Shout out to Jock Landale, 10 points. At one point, he had 10 consecutive points. So he's been doing his thing recently. But we're going to start off with today's games over here. We've got the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Nuggets, $1.38 favorites. Thunder, $3.25. I'm sorry. The line is at 7. Total's at 214. That one's live on NBA League Pass today, BK. OKC have lost 3 in a row. They're a young team, so they're going through a bit of a learning curve at the moment. SGA came back the other day, so they've got him. Nuggets beat the Kings on Saturday. Jokic, incredible. What more do we have to say? Yeah, but I think the Nuggets win this one.
Yeah, I don't know who's stopping Jokic on this Thunder team, so I'll roll with Denver as well.
Yep. Next game on the schedule, we have the Chicago Bulls and the Dallas Mavericks. This one could be a fun one, BK.
For sure.
$1.75, the Chicago Bulls, Dallas Mavericks, 216. Line is at 2. Totals at 218. BK, the Bulls have won 9 in a row. Cavs have won 5 in a row. So someone's going to, keep this winning streak going today. Young guys have been playing well. Caruso's out of protocols, I believe, but I'm not sure if he's going to be playing today. The Mavs have been fun. Shout out to Josh Green. He had a career high game the other day, 17 points. So he's been playing well this season as well. No Porzingis. Luka Doncic listed as day-to-day, so he might not be playing BK. I like the Bulls.
Mate, keep the streak going. They've given me no reason to pick against them. They're on a roll right now.
Yeah, that's easy. I like the Bulls. Like, keep that momentum going. All right, let's move on to the next game. Now, this is the one that we all want to keep our eye on. Klay Thompson is making his return for the Golden State Warriors. Klay is back after almost 2 years out. Warriors, $1.30 favorite. Cavaliers. Did I say Cavaliers before or the Mavericks for that game? Cavaliers.
Mavs, Cavs, same thing.
Yeah, I get confused. The Cavaliers are $3.80. The line is at 8. Totals at 215.5. Their BK. Warriors have actually lost 2 in a row. Not sure if they've lost 2 in a row all season, but they definitely haven't lost 3 in a row all season. Cavs are 11-8 away from home. I don't know. I think just the momentum of like everything, the confidence of getting Klay Thompson back. I just don't see the Warriors dropping 3 in a row, and especially at home.
No chance. The Chase Center is going to go crazy today. That first Klay Thompson 3-pointer is going to be fun. That place is going to erupt.
Yeah. This is going to be fun. Like, I'm really, really looking forward to this, just to see Klay Thompson back. Well, I don't know. You know, Steve Kerr said he's not going to put him on a minutes restriction. He's starting the game, so we'll see what Klay's got left in the tank. But I'll take 70% Klay over pretty much any other shooting guard in the NBA.
Facts.
Yeah. Last game we're going to take a look at, BK. Memphis Grizzlies, Lakers. This one, again, this is going to be a fun one too. Like you said, this could be a potential 4-5 matchup in the playoffs. Lakers have won 4 in a row. Memphis streaking. They've won 8 in a row. Lakers are favorites though. $1.52 here. Memphis Grizzlies 266. Line 4.5. Total 226. Live on NBA League Pass as well. BK. The Grizz are balling. Ja Morant is balling. The Lakers are kind of balling, I guess. Kind of balling. LeBron's been balling. Malik Monk's been brawling. They're 14-10 at home. The Grizzlies are actually 13-6 away. This is a bit of a coin flip game for me, actually. But you know what? I'm going with the Grizz to continue their streak as well. I'm going with the Bulls to continue their streak, and the Grizz as well.
Well, the Grizz have got the best of the Lakers already this season, but after just hyping up LeBron for 5 minutes before, I'll stick with them. Let's keep the LeBron at center train going. I want this for LeBron and the Lakers.
Yeah, look, and I'm still sticking. I think there's too much of an over-reliance on LeBron. LeBron is great, but I'm all aboard that Grizzlies train. I'm all aboard that Grizzlies train.
And rightfully so. They've been killing.
Yeah, I love that team. I think they're just so fun to watch and just got so many great pieces. I'm going to go with the Grizzlies on that one there. BK, thank you very much. We're going to see you again on Friday, provided we don't have any more COVID-related dropouts for our international guests this week on Wednesday. But we'll see you again on Friday. This has been another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV. And as always, we are brought to you by our good friends at topsport.com.au. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.